I'm so excited for this guy. Stick around because our guest today is a brain cancer coach. As a 7-year survivor himself, he believes that cancer needs to be approached holistically, which also includes a complete lifestyle change to the ketogenic diet. Not only that, he also focuses on mindfulness and mental resilience as a part of his coaching to overcome the anxiety, depression, and fear caused by this disease. A big contributor to the brain cancer community as he dedicates himself to assisting others find this lifestyle as well. I'm honored to be joined by Pablo Isaiah Kelly. Pablo, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, man.
So we've been in contact for a few weeks now, and actually, a cousin of mine sent me your story. As I reached out to you, you were also very excited to come on and share your story, man. I am so honored that you're here and you took this time to be able to share your knowledge, share your experience, so in hopes to impact someone's life. So I appreciate you being on, taking some time, man.
Yeah, it's all right. You're welcome. Yeah, it's nice to talk about stuff and get out there as much as possible because needs to be there needs to be a wider following in just metabolic health in general.
Absolutely, man, and we'll get um to your story, but just to preface your story here with our listeners, you were diagnosed with a terminal glioblastoma multiforme, a grade 4 glioblastoma brain tumor. You said it was inoperable at the time in 2014. Obviously, it was a devastating news, but you found strength and decided to give this one a fight. You had chosen a holistic way of dealing with this, including the ketogenic diet, which is it's not very common with patients like you are to be able to
Yeah,
change your lifestyle completely. And 7 years later, here you are coaching other people and helping others overcome this diagnosis that has dominated their lives, dominated your life early on. But instead of letting it defeat you, you shared your story today to help. So you are a hero for someone for sure, man. We'll get to your backstory because I think mindset is everything. Before we get into that, I'm curious on how you were able to pivot into um, a new lifestyle completely. Let's start with maybe who you were before the diagnosis, before all of this, and then what was your relationship with food at the time growing up as well. I think it's important.
well, it's actually I was brought up on a vegetarian lifestyle
Mhm.
from the age of my mom was vegan when I was born. She transitioned to vegetarianism, and then I left home at the age of 17 because I was smoking a lot of cannabis and just
Mhm.
being a kind of adventurous youth. And we just decided to part ways. I said I don't want to be here, and I left home, and ended up moving in with my uncle. Spent a lot of time in the city, just smoking lots of weed, and got nowhere. Just got more and more depressed in my life. Couldn't find a relationship, couldn't find love, couldn't find meaning. Couldn't even get a job. I was a deadbeat, basically. But at the age of like 22, 23, I started to get so emotionally depressed that I just asked myself why I was smoking weed just to cover, and then I realized it was just to cover up my pain, to suppress it rather than speaking to someone about it. So I sought help, and yeah, basically after going cold turkey on cannabis and cigarettes and alcohol and bad toxic relationships, I left my uncle's and went somewhere else. Decided to try out photography in a college because I'd never done college before. I've been doing photography a lot, but I never fully embraced it. So I went to do that, and that's where I met my now fiance. We've been together almost 10 years now, but which was unexpected. I went from like no relationships in my life, very, very shallow relationships, to a very meaningful relationship after I started to work on myself and love myself a bit better. So yeah, I did that. I met we both just kind of quit college and we started doing, going into agriculture and like working within that environment, growing vegetables and doing, getting hands on with nature and getting back to our roots. But yeah, after that, I think it was about 2.5 years into our relationship. Um, Well, after we were eating quite poorly. It was like a high carbohydrate.
Mm,
We're eating very late meals in the evening. We were eating lots of food, chocolate, sweets. We weren't that toxic. We were just we were kind of doing it within the borders of health,
mm-hmm,
wise health choices. But we were still having the sugar in copious amounts. Um, and then obviously I got diagnosed with cancer when I was working in a garden center. I just kind of one day it was like the middle of summer,
mm-hmm,
and I had a big crunch in my neck. I like, oh, it's a bit tense, and I went like that, and it just went click, and I felt like I was spinning in circles.
mm,
I'm like, this isn't right. So I kind of like, and then I started getting migraines after that,
mm,
and so basically it was just like migraine after migraine. I started not missing work, which was a problem. So after a while, I had another click in my neck. Well, basically, I was like went to meet my partner outside of work
mm,
so she could pick me up, and it was like a back lane in the country, and I had to run for a little way to get out of the way of some cars. And when I got to the end, I went to take a drink of water, and my neck clicked again,
mm,
and my jaw sagged. My left arm kind of dropped. I couldn't really lift it, and I thought, oh my god, I'm having a stroke
mm,
at the age of 20, 23, 24. I thought this can't happen. I'm healthy supposedly. So I went to the doctors. I said, this has been happening a lot. I would like to get a CT scan because I'd done some research. I said, what could this be? And most of it pointed to a tumor. And I was like, okay, I got to look into this. And had the CT scan. It actually took 2 months after the CT. Well, it was about, yeah. From having the CT scan, I got told that there was no problem. It was
mm,
just a shady patch on the scan. Could have been a malfunction, etc. They
mm,
sent me home. I was getting ready for my sister's wedding at the time, so we were out shopping. I was still suffering with headaches and lethargy and just all sorts of problems. And I think I got a call back whilst we are doing the shopping, saying basically you got to come back in for an MRI because we think it might be a tumor. And
mm,
then within about another month, because these things take time, far too long for someone who's worried about their health.
mm,
So basically, within that 2 months where they were diagnosing and figuring things out, I'd done a lot of research online, staying up to like 4 a.m. almost every night for like a couple of months.
mm,
And I've been looking into it, and the worst possible outcome was GBM. And I was like, I hope it's not that.
mm.
Whatever it is, I hope it's not GBM. So I went for a biopsy, and then they, diagnosed me with a glioblastoma multiforme grade 4. And what was it? September 2014.
Mm. So, how long was this since? So, when you started getting those headaches until your diagnosis, how long was that
It was
in
midsummer, so it's
between?
about June, July.
So a couple months before you got diagnosed,
Yeah,
since you since
4 months.
since you were experiencing headaches. Um, do you remember that day at all for you? What were you thinking?
The
What was going
diagnosis,
through
yeah.
in your mind? Yep.
Well, when I was in the room with the surgeon, um, I had my mum 2 seats away, my fiance holding my hand.
Mm,
He said, "Well, I'm sure you'd like to know what it is. And it's not good news." I went, "Is it GBM? Is it GBM?" And he said, "Yes."
mm,
It's a glioblastoma multiforme of the right parietal lobe. And firstly, I was shocked. I said, "Oh, fuck my life!"
mm,
Like quite loudly, quite aggressively. I was like, "Why is this happening to me?" And then I look over, and I'm in this kind of haze. So everything's still, everything's kind of slow. And I see Rebecca is white as a sheet. So is my mum. My mum's just like, you know, doesn't know what to think, doesn't know what to say. And then I decide right then and there that I've got to change something. And I go, when I embrace my life a lot more than I have. So I grabbed my fiance's hand. I said, it's going to be all right.
mm. You didn't want them to be scared.
No, I
Is that
wanted
what it
to
is?
embolden them to support me. So it's like,
Mm,
give them the courage to
mm.
help me.
This is back in 20 summer of 2014. Um, and then
September 2014. Yeah.
what what were the options given to you? Were you given option at the same day
Yeah,
or?
yeah. I already knew what the options were because I'd
Mm,
researched, and because my grandfather, he was an estranged grandfather who I never really knew. But he spent most of his life. He was a house angel. He drank and he smoked, and he got liver cancer. And I saw him on his deathbed. I went to visit him with my mum, and he had no idea. He was wasting away from chemo and radiotherapy. And my mum just was devastated by the whole ordeal. And I remember it as, it's like when they offered me the treatments, I said, I've got to think about it because I'm not sure
mm,
that I want to do this. I'm going to
mm,
find something else. And because I was brought up on homeopathy and spiritual teachings from like Buddhism, Hinduism, and, Zen and
mm.
all sorts of
So, oh,
religions.
so you knew there was alternatives for this.
Yeah, I'd already looked into it.
So what did you find out?
Well, I was directed to a friend of the family. He's a Toyohari acupuncturist. It's basically a method developed for blind people. Very gentle form of the needle never goes in. It only goes in when it needs to.
Mm,
There's a guy. He's trained in the macrobiotic diet, which is I think it's a Chinese Japanese diet that's basically it's whole foods rather than
mm,
processed.
mm,
So he gave me a recipe book and gave me some foods that I could eat. So I was basically eating a very carb rich diet, but it was whole grain, so it was like a lot healthier.
mm,
So that was for about a month before the word spread. Basically, people knew that I was ill. It got spread on Facebook. Someone did a GoFundMe page to raise money, and sorry, yeah, just need to take a minute because I'm very tired.
mm. What
Obviously, I had an operation recently, so
oh, it's okay. Take
yeah,
your time, man. I'm just, you know,
yeah,
just absorbing what you're telling me. Obviously, you were just being brave for your family, right? In the beginning,
yeah, yeah,
and you gave them the validation that you will fight this thing, right? Obviously,
yeah, yeah.
you were given an option.
Most of my life, to be honest, most of my life, I never really fought for anything in my life. I never
Mm,
really persevered to the point where I succeeded.
mm,
And I thought, with this, it's do or die.
mm.
If I don't do, I will die.
Yeah, yeah. Which is very, very brave of you. You know, obviously, um, it's very, very scary. Just, you know, going the alternative way. Obviously, it's unproven at that time, correct? Like,
It's still unproven.
it's still
It's something
unproven.
that they're not looking into.
So what's going through your mind, as you go into these alternative treatments? What was a dominating thought for you?
Um, well, I don't want to die. It's
Mm,
the most dominating thought.
mm,
I want to live. And in fact, like going back to the biopsy where I received the results, what I said to myself right then is, I'm going to live my life with love. I'm going to live. I told myself, positive reinforcement of your
mm.
belief is very powerful.
How
Words have
hard is
meaning.
that to do? How hard is it to be positive at that time?
Well, I can say it, but doing it, keeping
Mm,
it in my mind and keeping it always in the
mm,
present it
mm.
was very hard back then.
So you talked about being a shell of yourself, when it all happened, and feeling, and fending off the negative and bad thoughts can really be paralyzing sometimes. It happens to many people, even though without any illness. Just plain negativity can be paralyzing, right? So a lot of
Yeah,
us struggle with this at very different degrees. Myself included. I'm not excluded in this. Sometimes we let things get to us, and we let negative self talk to a point
yeah,
that we are left paralyzed, and unable. Having the right attitude and mindset, I think, is what you had in the beginning. I know, you know it starts with, I think, you gotta tell yourself that you are gonna fight this, and being positive. I know it's as
Yeah.
hard as that can be at that point. What you have is seem insurmountable, but you didn't let it take over you.
Yeah, I
You
think the outlining, I mean, the thing I had in the fore of my mind was,
Mm,
um, if I'm gonna die, I want to die well.
mm,
Like a samurai, for example.
love it. You
So
wanted.
basically, when it came to basically, there was this situation where I was advised to see the oncologist, which
Mm,
they advise everyone to do. But you straight onto oncology, they assume that you're going to take chemotherapy and radiotherapy.
mm,
So I wasn't asked whether I was going to accept these treatments. I was told to go there, and I got a letter through the post. I didn't receive any contact or any kind of idea of what I was there for. They didn't say in the letter you're going to
mm,
receive. We're going to put your mask. We're going to fit your radiotherapy mask. They didn't tell me that, so I went there.
mm,
I had a 2 months, 3 months beard growing, so it's very thick, and you're
mm,
supposed to shave your beard before you have a mask fitting.
mm,
So I got there with this haggard beard, and when the radiotherapy people were gonna like measure me up and give me the mask molding,
mm,
they said you're supposed to shave, and I said I don't know why I'm here. Can you tell me what I'm here for? They
mm,
said you're gonna have the radiotherapy mask fitted to your face. They're gonna line you up in the machine and make sure it's all, all the data's put in. And I said, but I didn't agree to this, and I'd like to know what's going on. But I said that to myself. Sorry, I didn't say that to them because I was what happens within the medical industry and with people of the public, we get into a situation where we feel uncomfortable, so we don't question it, so we go along with it.
yep.
So basically, if I had gone along with that, then I probably would have killed myself through radiotherapy and
Mm,
chemotherapy and toxic treatments that would have hurt me. But
wow.
so basically, they got some scissors, they hacked my beard off as much as they could, so I left the hospital looking like a tramp.
Mm,
It was horrible. But yeah, like they did the mask fitting. I was lying on the bed, getting the
mm,
laser kind of measured to my
mm,
specifics.
mm,
And then as I was lying there, basically I just had this instinctual gut like pang. It was like full on negative vibes. And I went, I can't do this. And I said to
mm,
the nurses, I said, I need to speak to the oncologist. I need to speak to someone now
mm,
because I don't think I want to do this. So they got her on the phone, and I said, "So, is this going to give me longevity? That's the one thing I want to know. Is this going to make me live for a very long time?"
mm,
And she said, "Well, um, as you know, the life expectancy is 12 to 15 months with chemotherapy and radiotherapy. Without, we can only say with your good health, 6 to 9 months maximum."
mm,
And they said, "Of course, you'll lose your hair. We need you to bank your sperm because you might become impotent. Your hair might never grow back. All these horrible things. Your bloods might go low and you might not be able to receive treatment." And I'm just going,
mm.
why would I go through something like this if I'm going to die?
Exactly. So
You know,
you've never gone through any regular treatments for this.
it's I know it's strange, but it's something. Yeah,
Really?
I've not received any treatment from the hospital apart from the MRI scans and
Mm,
the operations.
and what's the status? What's the status of the tumor right now? Is it growing? Is it not?
Right now,
Mm,
they removed as much as they could after the
mm,
operation, but I
mm.
they didn't actually tell me
But
what
you
percentage.
you outlived it,
Oh,
obviously.
I outlived it
Mm,
by
mm,
7 years. Well, yeah, 6 to 9 months basically
mm.
was my prognosis.
Man, your attitude is you were sure of yourself is what I'm.
I didn't doubt myself for a second. When I
Mm,
said no, I didn't consult with anyone else in my family, my
mm,
friends.
mm,
The guy who set up my GoFundMe, when he found out I was declining care, he said,
mm,
"Well, I can't watch you die," and he decided to just like defriend me because we weren't like able to see each other personally, but we were friends on Facebook and we hung out in secondary education quite a
mm,
lot.
mm,
He was like a good friend for a while, but then he suddenly went, "I can't do this. Fuck you."
mm. I'm curious of what your family thinks of this, of your stance.
Well, my family is very alternative, so they're just happy I'm still alive.
No, at the time,
my,
sorry.
my My
I think
grandma is a vegan. My mom turned carnivore when I turned carnivore, and she's the
mm,
healthiest she's ever been. My
mm,
big sister, she is also a vegan now because she's got so many autoimmune problems. My younger sister is
mm,
she's vegetarian, but she eats eggs.
mm,
They know what I'm doing. They know it's kept me alive. They don't
mm.
understand that it's going to be better for them to go keto.
Man,
Low carb.
that's so incredible.
It's
Um,
just the mindset of this culture is it's like
man.
it's an addiction.
Mm,
Like TV. I sit here actually because I'm bored. I watch TV.
mm,
Today I decided to dance with my children and my
mm,
partner just for a bit.
mm. And
I wrote a poem. I
mm,
went for a walk with the dog. I did a few videos that I'm going to share on my page later. I'm just trying to be active and
mm,
what's the
man,
word, present with my life.
you are so brave and so you've done your research on this. Absolutely. I
Well,
would
the thing is, I've been
mm,
blessed with it's almost like fate is guiding me because
mm,
I found out about the keto diet because my grandmother asked someone in a health food shop if
mm,
they knew anyone who had done something to cure their brain cancer.
mm,
And there was like talk of a woman who did keto for a grade 2 steatocytoma,
mm,
and she basically cured her epilepsy. And she got guidance from a charity
mm,
in London who were treating children with epilepsy. So basically, that was the way. I accidentally met her in the shop. Like, she was just there on chance when I
mm,
walked in the shop, and she was like, "You're Pablo, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're the lady who's done ketogenic diet and it's
mm,
working wonders."
mm,
So it was like all these things happen for a reason.
man. And you're helping other people that has the same uh
I mean,
diagnosis. Wow.
straight away
Mm,
after diagnosis, I was like, I'll just write a blog on Facebook.
mm, mm. Man,
Didn't expect anyone to care, but it just
keep
gained following and following.
let's get into your mindset here because I think it's very important. You had a different mindset with anybody that's coming in with this type of disease, and I think it's really brave. It's really out of the box, but you wanted to live it on your own terms. It's like you've. I know you talked about your was it your uncle
Uh,
or your grandfather that was
my grandfather, yeah.
your grandfather that had the and you saw him suffer as
He had nothing on his bones. It was like you
mm,
could see his bones through his skin.
mm, mm,
It was disgusting and it was scary. It was like,
mm,
why would someone? But then he was at the point where he didn't know what was happening.
man. And if you had done the treatments, who knows, right? Who
I
knows?
don't know. I'm not gonna second guess the
Mm,
past because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
in the past.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think the most important thing here is that you were able to change your attitude towards it, and you removed fear from it. You didn't let it uh, dominate your life. You enjoy a life with your family. What has helped you in the beginning? I think how were you able to fend off the negative thoughts? What do you
Oh, I did. I
practice? Any
didn't.
mindfulness?
There's in the
Mm,
beginning. I had the spiritual teaching. I had the understanding,
mm,
but the emotions were they overtook me for a
mm,
while.
mm,
So even though I was doing this diet, my emotions were just all over the place. People were trying to help me. I'd push them away because I was afraid to die and I was
mm,
afraid to hurt them. So I pushed them away to kind of protect myself. But I mean, after the initial anger, resentment, frustration, pain, suffering, all of that rubbish,
mm,
after that kind of reached its crescendo, um, it just boiled down again. It simmered away, and it was in the background. And I was like, I've got a partner who loves me, got a family who wants to help me.
mm,
So why didn't I listen? So I rebuilt those relationships. I pushed my mom away initially. I smashed the phone because I didn't want to talk to her because she was just trying to. Had all these ideas, and I was like, I'm doing what I want to do. Okay, this
mm,
this is my choice. And basically, I told everyone in my family. I said, this is what I'm doing. If you try and tell me to do something else, I don't need you.
Mm.
You got to get on my side, because this is, it's basically it's over the end of my life, and you're going to miss it, or you be a part of it. I gave everybody an ultimatum. I give myself one too.
Man, what would you? Is there anything that you would have done differently in your first year? You think, if you go back, what would you have done differently? What
No,
I?
because I pretty much I got. I mean, I'm proud of this. I pretty much nailed the ketogenic diet within 2 weeks of starting. My
Mm,
ketones were on par with my glucose. So I was like 4.4 ketones to
mm.
glucose. I was
Can you?
hitting the one ratio. There's this 1-to-1 ratio that Professor Thomas Seyfried talks about,
Mm.
which is like the perfect ratio of glucose to ketones in your body. And I was hitting it daily.
What's the importance of keeping track of that?
I mean, at the beginning, because I wasn't fat adapted, it's very important to keep on top of your macros. So basically, your
Mm.
calorie intake, your glucose and ketones, your weight. It's all of those are very important
Keep the growth.
to keep. Well, it's there's no scientific proof that
Mm.
this works. Obviously, in lab mice, it's worked. This is what C3. But I was under guidance from a nutrition who said basically keep. It was a 20 gram, less than 20 gram show, which is carbohydrate intake, and I was about 2,000 calories. So it was a restricted calorie ketogenic diet.
Mm. Mm.
So I started with that, and it was mainly to manage my epilepsy.
Man, being open and the word is chancing. Chancing on an alternative can seem very scary, like I said, but you were able to completely change that. I don't think many would have risked it that for any unproven alternative, but
Yeah.
you have outlived it. 7 years, not many would have really made a whole change like that. Obviously, when I've seen many people struggled with that. We know you practice a holistic living. Aside from just the diet, what else do you practice?
I mean, obviously, there's movement. I don't know if you can see. That's my
Mm.
cross trainer there. It's got stuff on it, but yeah,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I do some cross training. Practice Buteyko breathing, which is it's basically a Russian breathing system where you just breathe through the nose, you breathe into your belly rather than your lungs,
mm,
and you practice diminished breathing. So you try and breathe less, but less to increase oxygen and nitric oxide in the brain.
mm,
Um, sunlight, grounding. I do take some supplements, some anti-inflammatories, so like boswellia,
mm,
curcumin. I take C8 MCT oil and keto
mm,
force to boost my ketones. But yeah, it's just this mindset that there's lots of gurus out there.
mm,
Gandhi taught it. Eckhart Tolle, he teaches.
mm.
There's so many. It's hard to name them
Sorry,
because
yeah.
I forget. But basically, the power of now, the power of being present with your
Mm,
situation, with trusting yourself and your instincts.
mm,
Because we are in this culture, we're fine tuned to trust other people,
man.
not
Yeah.
ourselves. So when a doctor says you've got this problem, don't eat better, we'll give you some drugs.
Have you talked to your doctor yet? Like since?
All of my doctors say this sucks, but it's like they're not on board. They all just say you're very lucky to be here.
Mm,
You're a very lucky individual. Not many
mm,
people would have the same outcome. Their belief in dietary countermeasures for any illness is very
mm.
minimal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That which is very unfortunate
So
for
that's
some.
why I don't really trust the medical system,
Mm,
because they haven't given me anything to prolong my life.
mm. Yeah, which is very unfortunate because
Apart from, of course,
mm,
operations,
mm,
but that causes more damage than good, essentially, because
mm,
when you operate on the brain, like my second operation has damaged the membrane, which would
mm,
after the first operation, the membrane around surrounding the brain heals up again.
mm,
But after the second one, it struggles to heal. So basically, you've got damage to the brain.
mm.
So you can get infections. You can have bigger growth. I took that risk. So
How far into this journey you're on that you realize that, okay, this is working? How far into the
Well, okay, it was I was having quarterly scans, so that's what there's 4 quarters in a year, so that's every 3 or 4 months I was having a scan, MRI.
Mhm.
My first scan, they obviously expected there to be some growth, but it came back stable, so there was no growth. It was imperceptible.
Mhm.
So within 4 months, I had slowed the growth down. So what was it? I think it was 7 centimeter tumor. It wasn't that big, 7 millimeter. It was a small tumor, but it kept on growing.
Mm.
But yeah, it just slowed it right down within 4 months. And then I think the best way to compare like tumor growth is over a year. So in about
Mm.
after a year, I was still getting stable scans. But what they weren't telling me after I think it was about 2.5 years, was that there was imperceptible growth every change of a scan. So it was growing, and it got to the point where they said, it's going to cause lots of problems. My seizures were getting worse. I couldn't control it with ketogenic diet because sometimes the swelling is too much. But yeah, it was straight away.
Mm.
I was very strict. I was like, I'm not going to have any. Basically, normally people have like nightshades. They have all sorts of different things, different elements to their ketogenic diet for the pleasure. I said, well, I'm just going to have simple steamed vegetables,
Mm.
low glycemic vegetables. So leafy veg, cruciferous, and that
Mm.
was about it really. I had no root veg, nothing else.
How
Just
often do
kept
you
it. I think keeping it as simple as possible, not
Mm.
wanting for too much, not
Mm.
not seeking for the pleasure of food, seeking for the sustaining of life is more
Mm.
important.
Man, your life had morphed into a purpose, a purpose for you, a purpose
Yeah.
to live, because obviously you're fighting not for yourself only, but for your family as well, and people are counting on you to
To
for your
maintain my life. Yeah.
to your maintain your life, because yeah, guess what, if you outlive this, people, you give people a lot of hope, and that's important in fighting a battle, right?
I mean,
You
just being here now, I'm
Mm.
happy with it. If I was to die,
Mm.
obviously I would.
Mhm.
There's the great fear is that
Mm.
there's going to be lots of suffering that I leave behind. My children will not know
Mm.
their father when they
Mm.
grow up. They'll miss that, but they'll
Yeah.
see my my essence in what I left behind.
Man, man, I believe you're helping a lot of people. I believe that with this information that you have right now, you're giving people hope. And sometimes hope is all people need, right? Hope is
Yeah,
all people need to fight. Because sometimes half of the battle is hope, having hope for yourself
yeah.
and
I mean,
for
that's
your
why I started my consulting
Mm.
business as a little thing. It's just basically trying to give people the belief that giving up stuff like the foods they enjoy is not a big deal when you're fighting for your life. And I've spoken to quite a few people who are now dead
Mm.
who did not embrace that ideal. They said, well, the doctor told me I could eat what I like.
Mm.
So they did that and now they're dead. And part of me goes, I wish they would have listened, but I can't resent something that's happened.
Yeah.
And
Which
there are
is
some people who there's a woman who she basically did this diet, did everything because she saw that I was doing it and that it had a great impact, and she embraced it fully. Unfortunately, she passed away end of last year. But she only passed away because of the stresses in her life.
Mm.
So her husband had a botched hip replacement, and she had to do all of this stuff, and she was surviving GBM. She survived 2 years past her prognosis.
Mm.
Strict carnivore diet, strict mindset. And I'm pretty sure she enjoyed her life as much as she could.
Mm. Wow.
So a big part of me goes, well, I'm glad that she chose to use me as her source of wisdom.
Mm.
Because the wisdom doesn't come from me. It's got to come from you. The
Mm.
patient has to want to live.
Mm. When does acceptance a big part of that too?
Yeah,
You think?
I've accepted that I could die.
When did that happen for you?
Uh, quite early on, to be honest,
Mm. Mm.
because
For
I basically said to myself that if I'm going to die, I'm going to live my life with love, and I'm going to live it well.
mm,
I always told me I'm alive and I'm living.
mm,
You know, that I just kind of repeated that to myself. Rather than going,
mm,
"Oh, I'm dying."
mm,
But recently, because I've had my second child recently, in the last year, I started to delve back into my fear again, going, "I want to grow up to see my boy,
mm,
and grow into a man like me,
mm,
but better." Because that's his role, isn't it? That's the role of our children, is to be better than we were. But I'm starting to embrace the idea that I've left behind a lot of love,
mm,
you know. So they will know I was there.
mm,
I put a lot of effort in, like I could have spent a lot more time on myself, but I've supported my fiance as much as I can with her pregnancy.
mm,
We actually had the baby on a spot over the floor behind me,
mm.
and we actually had the baby without the nurses here because they were driving from the hospital and they arrived 10 minutes after he was born. It is magical. It's amazing.
Mm.
This kind of
Man,
stuff wouldn't have happened if I hadn't changed my whole life because of this
yeah,
cancer.
man. Um, where can people find you? Where I want them to be able to reach out to you. Maybe
Well, there's a Facebook. There's
Mhm,
Facebook. Pablo's journey through brain cancer, I think it's called. I got Twitter. It's pretty much it's just
mm.
Pablo Kelly.
I'll link it down in the description below. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and there's my website if people want to
Mm,
talk to me
mm.
one to one.
What's your message, Pablo? Before we finish, what's your message for people? Maybe if they find this recording, maybe just got diagnosed, looking for hope. What's your message for them?
Well, I can't say that one size does not fit all. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's metabolism is different. Everybody's outlook on life is totally different. But if you can get behind if you can just look into the ancient wisdom, that the power of being present, being full of instinct rather than full of fear. So instead of the flight mechanism, use your fight mechanism. So embrace that you could die, but don't reach for it. Don't see it as the only goal. Go, okay, well, I'm going to live my best life within this. I'm going to use this as my power to be better, to do something
Mm,
in a very strong and courageous way. Because,
mm,
you know, fuck it. What else have you got to lose if you're going to
mm,
die?
yeah.
You know, I mean, they tell you you're going to die, but don't believe it. That's. I guess that's my message, because I just did not believe it.
Mm. Man, you took that fear, used that energy to do something else, do something great.
Obviously,
Um,
fear is still a big part of my
mm,
life. It
mm,
crops up every day, even though I don't want it to. But
mm,
I've learned to just kind of go.
mm,
It's just walking by. It's
mm,
something that I don't need to pay attention to.
mm. I love it, man. I love it. Pablo, I don't want to hold you up for too long, man. I am so grateful to you. Your mission is so much needed right now. Not even just for brain cancer patients, for people that are looking for hope, just to fend off fear, fend off negativity,
Yeah.
and just realize that if you live life today, you don't have to you know y- look for whatever happens tomorrow, right? So if you
Yeah. So I mean, I think
Mm,
one thing I do say a lot is you cannot be in the past. You cannot
mm,
live in the past. You cannot live in the future. You can only, like, every time you take a step forwards, you're just being in the present, because you've
mm,
taken that step forwards and you are there now. So use that image,
mm,
that
mm,
everywhere I go, I'm present.
mm,
Everything I'm doing, I'm present. So, for example, if you get in a sticky situation, or you get into an instance where someone's like attacking you, just breathe instead and walk away. It's as simple as that. These simple choices. There's you do or you don't. There's always two choices: yes or no, fear or love. So what are you going to choose? I mean, everyone wants to feel love.
Mm.
I mean, this is the human consciousness. So unfortunately, we've forgotten that that is a part of our lives. We're all so caught up in what we need to do tomorrow rather than what we can do today. So yeah.
If you want to support Pablo in his mission, obviously you can send him a DM on Instagram. Um,
I've also
Pablo,
got a Patreon if people
mm,
want to donate
mm,
to help me write my book and to support my YouTube. And
yeah, obviously, Pablo's doing a lot for his community, giving a lot of people hope. And if you can help out, just give a little bit of support with him, and so he can continue what he's doing for the community, that will be awesome. We'll link everything down below: his Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. All right, Pablo. Man, you are an incredible person, man. You are
thank
a
you.
hero of a lot of people, and continue to do what you're doing, because absolutely you've impacted me in many ways. Just hearing your story, and please continue what you're doing. You're impacting a lot of people, man. You know, can't
Thank you
say
very
that
much. It
enough.
was a very comfortable interview towards the end. I felt very nervous and tense,
Mhm.
but now I'm feeling at ease. So thanks for that.
Thank you so much, Pablo. Bye
Yeah.
bye. Pablo, hang on one
Yeah.
second. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, man. Matt, you are incredible, man. Thank you for
Thank you.
being, very vulnerable there. Um,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of fear in our society today, and it definitely affects me too. So hearing you
Yeah.
talk about how you've fended off fear, even in the midst of all that, is such an incredible feat. What a bravery you've shown. What hope you give to people, right? you know
Yeah.
it has a lot of value. So, man, like, man, keep going.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna try. That's all I can do is try
mm,
and
mm,
and live.
absolutely, if I can help a little bit, I'll do. I'll spread the word for you. All right.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah.
All
I
right.
need all the help I can get because like affording this
Mm,
lifestyle. When I can
absolutely.
barely work. I've got my business,
Mm-hmm,
but I get like one hit every month,
mm-hmm,
maybe two every month, and that's only £110. It's not very
mm-hmm.
much money. I've got to try and support my family somehow in this environment where I can't work because I've got seizures and lethargy and illness,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's difficult.
man. You know what? If you believe in good karma, it's coming to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Trust me, and I will spread the word for you. I will spread
Yeah,
the word.
that's all it takes is people spreading the word. Because
Mm,
unfortunately, I don't, because of all the algorithms within social media, my
mm,
stuff does not get hits because it's unimportant.
mm, mm. No, no,
It's
it
not
will.
big business.
It's
Yeah,
gonna get. It's you know what? If you have energy to go on podcasts, right?
yeah.
Because your story would be picked up by anyone. Trust me, right?
I might even try and reach out to Joe Rogan and see what he does.
Oh, hey, man, do it, because your story has that type of impact.
Yeah, I
So.
mean, I've already talked to Sean Baker as well, and
Mhm,
that was good. Lots of people keep finding me through Sean Baker, so that's
mhm.
pretty good. But
Hey,
yeah,
hey.
hi man. Well,
All
thanks for
right,
the interview. I've actually forgotten. I don't know your name. It's unfortunate. I'm
Lawrence.
just
Lawrence.
Lawrence. Okay, nice to meet
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
You're a friend forever, my guy.
yeah, nice one, man. Take care.
All right, bye.